Take a deep breath, take the higher road. That's what they always say, as if they know the way. They won't take it from me. But don't ever doubt yourself, 'cause life ain't just a dream. You make your own, so kick and scream. The people will act with a never-ending force. You never had the chance, so what you waiting for? The day has come, my friend, 'cause this is war. It's time and this is war.
There's a toxin that's been quietly destroying lives, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and relationally. It's more contagious than any virus, more destructive than any diagnosis, and its name is fear. Fear has gripped the hearts of nurses, patients, parents, and providers alike. Fear has dictated policies, broken families, and silenced truth. Fear has made us question our own bodies, our own instincts, even our own God-given authority. But here's the truth that we desperately need to hear again. Fear is not from God. Today, we're not just talking about mindset. We're talking about detoxing from fear in the deepest sense. From our nervous systems, from our belief systems, from our day-to-day decision-making. Because if we want to walk in truth, if we want to stand in freedom, if we want to step into healing, we have to break free from fear. And that starts now. You're listening to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. Before we get started today, I do want to encourage our listeners, if you have questions or comments, or perhaps you want to share your own experiences with what you're seeing on the front lines of healthcare, you can now submit those to any of us directly by visiting our website at nursesoutloud.com. We would love to hear from you. We encourage all of you to engage in the battle and find your voice in this fight. But until you are able to do that, we will continue to be that voice for you. Joining me today for this incredibly timely and transformational conversation is someone whose mission aligns deeply with our own here at Nurses Out Loud. He's the man who speaks truth boldly, lives what he teaches, and has dedicated his life to helping others detox, not just their bodies, but their lives. Tim James is the founder of Chemical Free Body, a health coach, speaker, and the host of the Health Hero Show. After facing his own health crisis, Tim turned his pain into purpose, healing his body naturally and stepping into a mission to help others do the same. But Tim doesn't just talk about detoxing from chemicals. He talks about detoxing from fear, shame, guilt, and everything that keeps us from living in alignment with who we were created to be. His energy is contagious, his story is powerful, and his message today is exactly what we need to hear in this hour. Tim, welcome back. It is such a gift to have you here with us again.
Thank you so much for having me back on, and I want to thank the listeners for just tuning in to these airwaves and following you and the other ladies and gentlemen now, the nurses of Nurses Out Loud, bringing truth.
Got some testosterone in here. I love it.
I know. That's pretty awesome. And I'm very excited about this topic today, and so thank you.
Absolutely. I'm very excited about it as well. I mean, it's definitely a timely conversation, right? We're seeing so much fear that is, propaganda that's in the media, and, even topics that we touch on ourselves can sometimes inadvertently cause fear. And that's certainly not what we want. We want people to be, vigilant. We want them to be aware, but we never want to cause people fear. I think just briefly before we jump into that, if, for those of my listeners who might not be familiar with your work, if you just want to share just a little tiny bit about your personal health journey, what led you to create Chemical Free Body, and then we can jump right into this detox.
Sure. Well, I grew up on a cattle and hay farm and played baseball at a high level. So I was an athlete. Just enjoyed growing up out here in nature, had a big garden, did all that kind of stuff growing up. My mom and dad made me weed the garden, didn't like that, but when I got done, I looked back, felt very accomplished when that strawberry row was beautiful and clean. Fast forward, age 37, I was a financial advisor. I'd gained 42 pounds. I had mental fog. I had skin issues, cracking and bleeding all over, psoriasis, eczema, just a mess. I finally had to be life flighted to get an emergency surgery. I was pooping blood for 2.5 years prior to that life-flighted surgery deal. Scary. Very thankful for the nurses and doctors that saved my life, and this is where Western medicine, I believe, shines, is crisis care. But as far as like for my chronic issues with my gut, which I found out was the whole issue, like everybody listening right now, if you have a skin issue like I used to have, you don't have skin issues, you have gut issues. Okay, that's where the problem lies. It's an inside job, and we'll maybe cover more of that today. But the so I was able. A friend of mine got cancer. We went to Hippocrates Wellness Center in 2011, and learned about detoxification, cleaning up the digestive tract, and fresh foods and living foods. More importantly, living foods and sprouts. And so me and my buddy changed our lifestyles, and he healed the cancer. And within 60 days, I'd lost the 42 pounds. And I'd been struggling for a long time, and I had no knowledge of health. I mean, obviously, look at me. I was a mess. I mean, I gained all that weight. I was fatigued. I had night sweats. I mean, I had a lot of problems going on, Kimberly. And I was able to turn it all around, and I got so healthy. And then I realized that the toxins and stuff, I paid all this money in taxes for these places like the FDA. I thought we're making sure my food was healthy. And when I started reading ingredients labels, I found out that many of these toxic ingredients were allowed in the stores. And I started getting very upset about it. It was allowed in the restaurants, not just fast food restaurants, but some of these fancier restaurants, okay? They have a bottom line and the profit and loss statement. They're just trying to make a living too. So, and I'll get this one or get that one. Get the organic one, it's $2, or get the one that's conventionally sprayed with chemicals for $1. Well, they get that one. It's just what it is. And so I was on a mission to find out what I'd been lied about, and we find out now that 4,300 people a day are dying of processed foods in the United States, which is a 9/11 event. It's a 9/11 and a half event every day. So today, 4,300 people died in the United States from foods that we voluntarily purchased with our own money. And so that's kind of a weird thing that's where we're at today, but it is what it is. So instead of getting mad about stuff and creating fear inside myself, I realized that by doing that, I was actually hurting myself. And this kind of would segue perfectly into the topic today. And today I want to talk about, I'm going to offer you the fear detox. And I want you to think about detoxing yourself completely from fear. And hopefully when I get done talking about this today, from what I've learned over the last 14 years, that you'll embrace this and, more importantly, embody it for yourself, your family, and your community. Because we desperately do need this. It is a plague. Fear is a plague it's everywhere. News organizations today use it 24/7 to keep you hooked. Because, if you just know you're going to tune in, you're going to hear something about, I don't know, a firefighter saving a cat, Janie's little cat from crawled up in the tree, you'll like that feel-good story. But if it was just 24/7 doing that, people just don't tune in for some reason. And I actually knew some people that had a lot of money through some friends that tried to create a fun-loving, good information news station, and they couldn't even get it off the ground because people wouldn't tune in. So why is that? Why are we so hooked on fear? Well, it creates chemistry inside of us. And this is the chemistry that I want you to have awareness of today. And that chemistry is not good if you're trying to be healthy. It's not good if you're trying to raise children and have a happy life. It's not good if you want to participate at a high level in sports. It's just really not good for anything. Fear can be helpful if you're out in the woods and you see a pack of wolves running at you. Okay, so these chemicals kick in and they supercharge you, right? Cortisol, adrenaline, all these things spike, and it gives you literally like superpowers to your extremities. The blood leaves the organ systems and it goes to the extremities so you can fight or flight. This is what's called sympathetic nervous system mode versus the rest and digest mode, which is the parasympathetic. So I like saying rest and digest versus, because that's easier for me to understand than sympathetic and parasympathetic. I don't know about you guys listening, but many of you are probably nurses. It's easy for you, but us common folks, That's a tough one. Okay, maybe it is. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But these
I
these
like
big
that. I
long
like
words
the
are
rest and
confusing.
digest. I like that rest and digest. And we maybe later we can talk about how I was able to finally trigger my parasympathetic system when we were in Colombia last year. That was a pretty amazing moment for me. Very breakthrough.
Yeah, and I was there. It was
You
pretty
were
awesome
for it.
watching you having
Yeah,
that breakthrough, that release. Okay,
absolutely.
so it's chemistry. Okay, we're talking about chemistry, and we can help. We talk about it all the time. Like we help people detox their digestive tract. We help them detox their cells, get the heavy metals out, the radiation, the pollution. There's so many things that are talked about, and then there's all these other things that parasites and blah blah blah, and yeast and mold. All these things to detox. And these are all very valid, and there's things you can do, and yes, you can get these things out of yourself. But one thing that people are just not even paying attention to is this fear thing. And probably just to really hone this down, I know there's a lot of nurses and people out here that probably already get this, but for the average person that you might share this episode with, and I hope that you do, is that the bunny rabbit story. I don't know if I told this before, but so when rabbits are eating, let's say there's a rabbit and it's a nice sunny day and he's out in the clover patch and he's munching on some clover. He is in rest and digest mode. Okay, his nervous system is calm and all of his blood is into his organ systems and he's digesting food. He has the assistance of all that blood flow there in the organs. But the fox is hungry too, and the fox spies the rabbit and takes off after him. Well, the rabbit sees the fox coming, hears the fox, and instantly the adrenaline spikes, the cortisol spikes, and he takes off, and he's darting and diving, and he jumps into the briar patch and narrowly escapes the fox. So the fox misses out on his lunch. He takes off, goes somewhere else. What is going on? That rabbit is now, he's in the briar patch, and his eyes are bugged out. His blood flow is going like crazy. His heart's elevated. His cortisol levels are high. His adrenaline is spiked. That is a natural response. And that rabbit used that adrenaline and that cortisol to become a super rabbit for a short period of time so that he could save his own life. The fox is gone. The rabbit settles down. His heart rate comes back to normal. He returns. He's calm. Now he's back into rest and digest mode. He had now burned through, from his running, he had burned through those chemicals that were created to save his life. This is a very important point. And then he walks out to the clover patch, and he starts munching his clover again. Now, the difference is with us humans in the modern, hectic, fast-paced world that we live in. I mean, you wake up in the morning and it's like, you got alarm clocks, and you pick up your social media, and there's crazy stuff, and you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, and they'll tell you on the news who killed your neighbors last night and who got gunshotted, and it's just 24/7 fear, 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 fear. And what ends up happening is that we think that that's not bothering us. But all those things that I just mentioned, which might sound trivial, is no different than a fox chasing the rabbit. It's the saber-toothed tiger chasing you. All these things are affecting you. And I can tell you in my own personal thing, when I turn my phone ringer off, my stress levels drop considerably. I choose when I go to my phone now, as an example. This is one of the solutions we can talk about. And it's dropped my stress completely. Now, the difference is with us humans, when we have these stressors during the day, I gotta pay the bills, and you gotta go out, and there's traffic, and and all these things, and taking care of kids and getting them all to their school plays and sports and music, and then you got aging parents now that are losing their memories and at accelerated rates, and you have to take care of your parents and dementias and Alzheimer's and they're falling and breaking their hips and all these things, and people are just overwhelmed. And all of that is that fight or flight mode is basically happening almost 24/7 to the people that are living in the modern world today. So what's the big deal? Well, the difference is that you're not fighting or flighting. You're not running and burning through these chemicals and using them what they're supposed to be used for. This is the big point. Those chemicals are now turning into toxic substances inside of your body because the natural process was never taken to its full end. You never moved the body in the way it was supposed to be moved to use those chemicals, and they are killing us softly every day, 24/7. So when you think about this, then the question is, well, how do I stop this? Well, you have to learn to respond differently to fear. You have to first have an awareness of it, and hopefully this talk today is going to get you to that point. And I'll tell you, I was just at an event, first one I was able to get to in a while. I had a nurse come in and take care of my father, who's needs full-time care pretty much. He doesn't think he does, but he does. And boy, there was a big speaker there, and I won't say who it was, but this speaker came, and the place was packed for this one speaker. And very passionate speaker. I know he's trying to do good and he's out there trying to help people, but there was a lot of division and a lot of fear that came out of it. And I heard the people coming by our booth afterwards and talking about it, and people were freaked out. And I'm like, oh my God. And it hit me. Because the lady was asking me, she's like, what class do you want to teach? And I told her right after this, I'm like, I want to teach a class called the Fear Detox. And I wrote the points up, and I'd been teaching this stuff for a long time, but I just put this little class together, and it's what we're sharing today. And it's because here's a good-intentioned person spreading truth, yet in a way that was causing fear inside of people, which is helping to undermine those people's health. Now, they weren't doing it intentionally, and that information was important, but it was how it was presented and how it was also received. Now, the good thing is that it doesn't matter how somebody presents something, you get to choose how you receive it. So now when I talk about things that might create some fear with people, I always create this understanding up front that no matter what I say, you have to take it for what it is and not create fear or stress in your body. Because, and we'll get into these points, but the first thing is to understand, because this is literally killing us. Okay, this fear stuff. Even WebMD, I think it was, I looked it up, says that stress will knock like 17 years off of your life.
Wow.
Right? 17 years. And the quality of your life. If you're stressed out all the time, you're going to age faster. And stress and fear are pretty much synonymous. Okay? And people always think about love. What's the opposite of love? And a lot of people will say hate. Hate is not the opposite of love. It's fear. Fear is the opposite of love. And that is our true natural vibrational state. God is nothing more than unconditional love, and that's our creator, and that's who we came from. So our true natural vibrational state, since we are from our creator, and whatever that is some people have different religious things like God, he, she, it, the vortex, the higher mind, whatever you want to call it, whatever your creator is to you, it's unconditional love. Okay, that's the vibrational state, and that's your natural vibrational state. Think about it. You can take somebody who's like, Kimberly, you've seen like maybe a big biker, who's like really big and tough, or somebody like that, and you put a little puppy in front of them, and you will watch that rough exterior melt as they love on that little fluffy puppy. Or a 3 or 4-year-old child comes in front of somebody who's kind of rough and tough, and all of a sudden you watch them melt. So we know at our core, that's all we are, but we put up these big shields to protect ourselves. And why are we putting them up? Because of all the societal and parental conditioning. We're doing this as protective mechanisms to protect ourselves. And right? So I think the first thing to understand is that our true natural vibrational state is unconditional love. The opposite of that is fear. So any time or anyone or you allowing anyone to create fear, it's like driving a wedge between you and your creator. Because if you can keep that straight, direct line to your creator, there is nothing more than unconditional love right there. Nothing. And if you allow it, and that's the thing, your creator gave you choice. And if you allow fear to come in between you and your creator, that's where we've lost the war right there. So anytime that people are creating division when they speak, if they talk about getting jabbed versus not getting jabbed, or black versus white, or Republican versus Democrat, or whatever, all that is fear. And it's like, okay, I recognize that for what it is, but I now choose to not participate in it. I just don't. I'm not going to let anybody get between me and my creator. There's no way, because I know from a physiological standpoint, it's going to create stress hormones inside of me and adrenaline. And if I don't have the ability to go run or do something or work it off right then, I'm killing myself softly. You see what I'm getting at?
Absolutely. And, I think that emotional and these spiritual toxins, that's what has such a tremendous impact on our gut health. And I think that people just don't make the correlation like they should, but it affects our gut health, our immunity, all of it.
Yeah, all of it.
Everything
Your health. And so here's the deal. If God is unconditional love and you came from God and you're at your core all you are is unconditional love and you understand that fear is the opposite of love, why would you allow fear ever to come into your life? Why? If you truly are loving yourself. It makes no sense. It really makes no sense. Why would we allow that? Well, things are happening to me. It's like, no, that's BS. That is a story you're telling yourself. You, my friend, get to choose. Remember, that was a right that you were given by God. You get to choose, and you get to choose how you respond to anything in your life. Anything. And there's tons of different examples of this. There's people that were, in the Holocaust that like were starved and had all these problems. Just they were in the Holocaust. They were in the concentration camps. And there was a story of this guy where he didn't lose weight like everybody else. He maintained his muscle mass. He was no special treatment whatsoever. The difference was his state of being. He didn't, and they said how, and they actually, the story goes like this: when the Americans came in and saved them and got them all out of there, they actually arrested that guy first because he looked so much healthier than the rest of the prisoners. And then they questioned the prisoners, like, no, he was the same as us. He was here the whole time. They're like, oh, okay, and they let him go. And they interviewed him like, how did you stay so healthy? He said, well, I didn't look at it as that they were, starving me. And he goes, I looked at it, I was fasting. That's the way I looked at it. I was fasting for my benefit, and I was able to get closer to God.
So just the mindset alone, changing the mindset.
Whoa.
Into
Whoa. That's a huge takeaway from that story.
right.
Like what you're saying, this guy's mindset, his spiritual path, he's like, how he responded to that was different than all the other prisoners, and how he responded to the exact same situation was his body he had a completely different body. He had maintained his muscle mass much better. He was a much happier person. He was looking at it as a benefit. He's like, oh, okay, well, if this is this is what I got dealt. I'm like, I'm going to respond. I'm going to look at it. I'm just doing a fast. And I'm going to get closer to God, because every religion tells you, it's like, if you want to get closer to God, what do? You fast and you pray. And so he did a lot of both. And he was able to maintain a healthier body. There it is. Like, that's it. So, you might not think that you're locked up in a concentration camp, but the biggest concentration camp that's going on right now, it's being perpetrated, is the concentration camp of the mind.
Yeah, amen.
And it's 24/7, and they're using fear. And there's also some other processes. When you get in fear mode, they're like, that's basically hijacking your prefrontal cortex, and then logic just goes out the door, and you start operating on emotions. And that's where they want you. So if you want to do that, that is a valid choice. If you want to be fearful, you can do it. Remember, this world is all about choice, and you get to choose, my friends, how you respond. But how you respond to everything is going to dictate the quality of your life, and it's going to dictate your health. So what I'm telling you right now, this is free medicine that's available to everybody right this second. Any moment that you want to download into this and you want to get this, Kimberly's going to write you a prescription right now. So Kimberly, get your prescription, right, and pen out.
Oh,
and you just write, I'm going to love myself, and I'm not going to let fear get in between me and my Creator. And you can sign it, and you can send it out to everybody, and they can take that prescription, and they can cash it in. They can go fill it right this second. Right this second. Okay. So was there anything did you want to say before I keep going?
Yeah, because I love that, because, for those who don't know, Tim actually coached me on my health journey. I think was it last year, but a year ago, a little over a year ago. And you actually coached me, and you helped me tremendously through a very, very difficult and stressful time in my life. And I know that you can probably recall the level of stress that I was under.
Not only could I recall, I could feel it. It was palatable.
Physically, it was very palpable. I didn't have an income I was going on like 3 years almost without an income. Everything is, my life is falling apart. I think I've burnt my career to the ground. So all of the things, but
while you were trying to save everybody.
Right. And, we're talking about like these types of almost just invisible toxins that we carry around. Shame, fear, unforgiveness, whatever it is that we're carrying around. And I want to talk a little bit about how you coach people through releasing those, because you helped me tremendously with things like it was the love me list, right? Where I had to pick certain things like going into my sauna, which is fantastic, by the way. And you can find a link to those in the Substack. The sauna has been amazing as part of my detox program.
That sauna is awesome.
Isn't it
What you know what I love about that sauna, and everybody listening should get one. I'm and this is, I mean, I don't get nothing out of it. So I mean, we sell them on our site, but please go patronize Kimberly and get it through her. They call it a relaxed sauna, and there's a reason for it. When you get into it, it will, I don't care how stretched out you are, in 10, 15, 20 minutes, it will grab you by the back of the neck and put you into that rest and digest mode. Yeah. I mean, for those of you who have ever done hot yoga, 90-minute Bikram hot yoga, you know how you feel afterwards. I remember I'd be so stressed as a financial advisor. I knew if I could just get to the class, it would solve my problem. And 90 minutes later, my stress was gone. That sauna will do the same thing. And they're actually very affordable. So, okay, really, keep going.
That was one of the best investments that I made was
sauna. Yeah,
but so shout out to Relax Sauna.
It's awesome. And for those that can afford them, they're very affordable. They're like $1,700. But the thing is I don't want this to, there's also a whole bunch of free stuff that you can do, and you don't need to buy any of these things, okay, to reduce your stress.
Very
Lots of free stuff.
Things like listening to, like I chose to listen to classical music that, calms my soul. But that was the point I was making, was that you kind of charged me with finding the things that spoke to me and that relaxed me and brought me into that space. So, I mean, that was incredibly helpful.
Yeah. Well, I think the first step is for people that I do is I help people realize your true value as a human being and your limitless potential. Because for some reason, human beings, and again, this is societal conditioning and parental conditioning, and our parents were conditioned by society, that has, made people, human beings are like the masters of limitation. Okay. And what I'm here to share with you today is you're the complete opposite. You have unlimited potential, and you can create anything. And it's all up to you. It really is. The only thing holding you back is yourself and all this BS conditioning stuff from parents and society. And when you learn to walk away from that, and this is the whole point. So how valuable are you? Well, I like to ask this question. Do you think God makes mistakes? And I'm asking the listeners right now, do you think God makes mistakes? Well, most people, in fact, every single person I've talked to has said, no, God's perfect. God does not make mistakes. Okay. And God created you, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, especially when I'm talking to people that are smart, that are down on themselves, they're like, oh no, I see where you're going. So God doesn't make mistakes. You just told me that. And you're created by God. Yep. Okay. So you're basically saying that God made a mistake by creating you, and your life's a mistake. Doesn't add up, does it? Doesn't make any sense. So with basic reasoning there, if God doesn't make mistakes, or creation, whatever you want to call it, and you're here, then all that is would not be all that is without you, and you are a very necessary part of existence. It's just, that's what it is. You can't argue this. It's unarguable. It's just, that's it. You know, I mean, somebody might come up with some theories or something, but if you actually use common sense and you go along those lines, then it's like, wow, you have tremendous value, right? Now, the question is why are you not understanding your limitless potential? Well, one thing that I realized was that, because I did a lot of work on myself and my gut microbiome and helped a lot of other people with that, like you, Jody, was that the same bacterium that were in my gut are in the soil microbiome. So something else I learned, my body was 2/3 water, and 99% of my cells are water. And where else did I find water? On planet Earth, just like in the soil, planet Earth, my gut microbiome. And then I realized that my bones were made of minerals. And where do you find minerals? Once again, in Earth, in the soil. So, my friends, we are all 100% connected to Earth. We are from Earth, and it's dust to dust. And one day, some of these microbes are going to break us back down into soil again, and we will regenerate. We're just, this body is a vessel. It's a rental, but we're in it, and we get to experience it right now with our spirit. Wow, that's cool. And so I realized that I have a direct connection to the planet. There's no different than a tree with its roots in the soil. I just have some legs and I'm running around. And so then I realized that the Earth is connected to the solar system, and the solar systems are connected to the galaxies, and the galaxies are connected to the universe. Now they're saying the universe to the multiverse, and who knows how far it goes. I'm not like a quantum physicist. All I know is it's really, really big, and I'm connected to all of it, and so is every single listener listening to my voice right now. We are all connected to this huge this synchronistic tapestry of life and of choice that we've been given. And wow, what a gift that we've been given. So the power of the universe, of the multiverse, and everything is literally inside of us. So wow, you have limitless potential, and you are completely valued. And hopefully you can look in the mirror now and have a different reflection after hearing this. I sure hope so. What do you think, Kimberly?
I absolutely think so. And like you're saying, everything is energy. And, I really and truly believe that everything is energy. And I can't even go into all that. The whole energy. I don't want to talk about that. We're up against the break, but I do want to talk about that when we come back a little bit more.
Sure.
America Out Loud Talk Radio plays on the iHeartRadio network. You can also listen on our media player from any web browser, anywhere in the world. We have the best in-class apps available on Apple, Android, or Alexa, 24/7. Great Talk Radio. All of our shows go to podcast the following day. You can hear them on apps such as Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeart Podcasts, and many more. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show on Apple Podcasts for me. Don't forget to check out our online store at americaoutloud.shop, where you can find all of the products that we represent on our network at a discounted rate, including an incredible line of products from Chemical Free Body. Unlike the majority of supplements you'll find on the market today, with Chemical Free Body, you won't have to worry about harmful ingredients, binders, fillers, or flow agents. Their ultra-safe breakthrough nanosilver technology destroys pathogens, balances the microbiome, and boosts immunity. All of these products are proudly made in the USA and are backed by an unheard of double your money back guarantee. I've made a twice daily Green 85 drink part of my routine, which has led to a decrease in belly bloat and an increase in my energy throughout the day. Use promo code OUTLOUD to save 20% off a Healthy Gut Bundle. I'll catch you on the other side of this break. Stay with us.
In just 2 minutes per day, you could reclaim your health and cut your grocery bill in half with one simple, convenient product. Our doctor-formulated Green 85 juice formula's powerful dose of ultra-concentrated essential nutrients stops hunger in its tracks and supplies your cells with what's missing in the grocery store food. Go to chemicalfreebody.com/outloud today. Get nature's super multivitamin Green 85, empower your immune system, cut down on your grocery bill, and save 20% on your first order.
Prepare for the next pandemic with the Wellness Company's Contagion Emergency Kit, designed by Dr. Peter McCullough. Get life-saving medications like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine, plus a free nebulizer and a guidebook for safe use. Order now by going to twc.health/outloud and use code OUTLOUD for $65 off your first order plus free shipping.
Don't accept joint aches and stiffness as part of aging. Doctors at Advanced Nutrition Company, Healthy Cell, created joint health and mobility to support connective tissue, joint lubrication, and reduce joint irritation with curcumin, omega-3, chondroitin, glucosamine, and hyaluronic acid for joint comfort and flexibility. And Healthy Cell's not a pill, it's a gel you swallow. Get 100% drug-free joint support. Go to healthycell.com and use code OUTLOUD for 25% off your first order. That's healthycell.com, code OUTLOUD.
When God, through His grace and mercy, gave us free will, the will of the people was to live freely. To that end, we fight for the liberty of all at a time when global tyranny threatens us as never before in mankind's history. This vision is manifest at AmericaOutloud.news, a site for all who cherish free will and freedom. Now is our time, my fellow Americans. America Out Loud Talk Radio. Liberty and justice for all.
Welcome back to Nurses Out Loud on America Out Loud Talk Radio. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton. Wherever you're listening from today and whatever you're doing, I thank you for giving me the gift of your time. Be sure to make AmericaOutloud.news your daily stop for all the latest news and happenings. We all must do our part and share the stories, the articles, the podcasts, and videos so we can help secure America's future. If you're just joining us, I've been talking with the founder of Chemical Free Body and the host of the Health Hero Show, Tim James. Let's jump right back in. Tim, thanks again for being here with us.
Oh, yeah, and I forgot to let you know. I should have let you know this, but we changed the name of the podcast. It's now Tim James Unleashed. So if people are trying to find the Health Hero Show, it's might be a little bit harder now because we've been changing the name. We did the switch over because everybody was like looking for me, and they forgot it. So all the recommendations were just put your name in the show, so then people can actually find you. So we did it, and it's all done. So there you go.
Very good. Well, we'll definitely update our show notes to reflect that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Very good. Well, again, this is such fantastic information, and it's important information that people need to hear, because we are killing ourselves slowly through stress, through fear. They're kind of synonymous. Fear and stress, as you said, are pretty much the same. But no, what do you say to this person who feels like you did for me last year, who's feeling overwhelmed, who really wants to heal, but they feel paralyzed by fear and they don't know where to start?
Well, typically with somebody like you, where you were at, is I kind of, the first thing I try to do is I try to get some energy in people. I just need to get them some energy so that they can actually do any change.
And you've got a lot of energy, Tim. So like I said in the intro, your energy is contagious. So,
well, it's real. Thank you. I've worked at it, and I basically plugged myself back into the mothership. I stopped eating processed foods and I eat fresh food, and I've detoxed my gut, and I continue doing it every day. So what I usually do with everybody is I help them get their gut cleaned out first, like period, right? Because the average person's carrying around 6 to 12 pounds of impacted fecal material in the colon like I was. My first colonic, where they put water in your rear end for an hour, colon hydrotherapy, I lost 11 pounds of disease-causing funk and gunk and junk that was creating a very acid environment in my colon and low oxygen. Perfect breeding ground for all these harmful organisms, viruses, bacteria, mold, yeast, fungus, all this stuff. Pathogens, parasites, all that stuff. So when I change the internal terrain, you make it inhospitable for these pathogens. And so that was the first thing I did, was I cleaned up my gut and I started flooding my body with green juices twice a day. And I just never stopped. I made those fresh juices twice a day, every day. And that was where our first product came, because we'd helped like thousands of people buy juicers. Like I think I sold like 5,500 juicers for these juicing companies in the first 5.5 years I was teaching classes at home, but only 1 out of 10 would stick with it. Number one answer: why? I don't want to clean the darn juicer.
It is kind of a pain to clean the juicer. I will say that. Yeah, so
that's where the greens comes in. So it doesn't matter what people are dealing with, and even if it's stress, the first thing we do is we have them clean up their gut. And if, we use the gut detox product, and we get them on greens, and we have them do that twice a day, because their grocery bill drops, their energy boosts, and now they're like, oh wow, this guy's telling the truth. Okay, and now I have the energy to do more stuff and maybe make some other changes. And you start walking, and you start doing more things, and you start building up rolling that snowball up the hill until eventually it crests the hill, and then it gets its own momentum, and then you're unstoppable. So the very first step is educating, but the first thing I like to do is get some people some energy. So we clean their gut. They do it. They clean their own gut, and then they do the greens. And people are so busy and stressed out that's why those two products work really well together. The gut detox and Green 85 is because you can literally do it in less than a couple minutes. It's like first thing in the morning, and then you do the greens again in the afternoon, about an hour to a half an hour before dinner, and then you can't eat as much food. So now your body doesn't have to process all that food either. And so that energy is now redirected to your activities of daily living that you were using to process all this food, I should say nutrient deficient food, to try to feed your cells, and your cells are never getting it in the first place. So that's how we get people energy. And then from that, we start working with them to reframe what these stressors are. And a lot of people, you mentioned it earlier, people have past traumas. And some of this stuff is known, and some of it's unknown, and it's dragging us down, and it's creating fear states inside of us. Could be something from your childhood that was unbelievable to me, unbelievable. But the people seeking help to us in our coaching program, close to 50% of them had been molested, at childhood from somebody. I've been like, I've done 2,500 plus intake forms, and to see that pattern was a jaw dropper for me. Now, of course, these were people seeking to get better, so obviously they had some troubles. But can you imagine half being molested? Okay, well, that would create some fear. Maybe you think that might screw up some trust in a relationship moving forward, or other people, if somebody did that to you. And it could be something else too. It could be a death. You could have lost a loved one. It could have been a pet you lost, a family member. But the first thing to understand is like, okay, well, you're not a child anymore. Okay, that happened when you were 8 or 6 or 10. And even though it was ungodly or whatever it was that happened, it's done. Okay, it's in the past, and the past does not exist. The only thing that we have is right here, right now. Try to go into the future too. You can't do it. You can think about it, but it ain't happening. You always come back to right here. And I think this is another thing that causes stress, Kimberly, is people are going back into the past and drudging up all these emotional feelings that's then once again creating the chemistry, the bad chemistry in their body in the now, and they're destroying their health from something that happened to them 30 years ago. Does that make sense?
It does.
And the same thing about the future, going into the future and worrying about stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, what'd you say?
No, I was making that exact same point that you just made, that either we're drudging up the past and stressing about that, or we're worrying about the future and what that holds, when we really need to learn how to live in the here and the now and the moment that we're in.
It's so much easier. See, the problem is that I see is that it's a gift, actually. We've been given the gift of memory and future thinking. So that's what separates us from the rest of the animal kingdom. If I do this, then what will happen, right? That's future thinking. Like if Kimberly, whatever, if I slap Kimberly, she might slap me back. Okay, I'm not going to slap her, and then we can stay friends. It's pretty. I can think that through, right? Maybe not the best example, but so I choose not to do that. Whereas an animal might just do something and then it doesn't realize what's going to happen and it gets itself into trouble, right? We can actually think a couple steps ahead. So that's great for us, but when you use it to go into the future and start spending all your time in the future and not living in the present moment, you can get stressed out. Oh, if I don't get the mortgage paid, then they're going to take my house, and then I'm going to have to sell everything, and then I'm probably going to lose my relationship. And just what are you doing when you're going through those thought processes? You're creating that fear mode inside of your body, and you're releasing toxic chemicals. Are you going and running them off? Nope. And so they turn into toxins inside of you. That's what ends up happening. They're not used for their proper. The other thing is memory. If you burn your hand on a stove, well, guess what? You're probably not going to go stick your hand on the stove again. You learn that when you're a kid. That's where memory serves you. But if you use it to go into the past, if somebody did something to you bad 30 years ago, and you bring it right into the present, and you're just as mad as them today as you were 30 years ago, what are you doing? You're destroying your own health. And you're the one that's going to have to change this. So how letting go of all this stuff, and most of this stuff is not even your stuff. It's other people's stuff. Why are you packing it around? So that's the first step. Letting go of everything that's not yours, because it's heavy. It's like you're walking around in an airport, dragging around everybody's baggage, and they're like, okay, you're at the B gate. Then you get there, and then you got an hour left, and it's like, oh, we changed to gate C. Oh, my God, that's 30 minutes away. I could get a train. Dragging all this baggage. Then they change it again. Then I was like, geez, my flight's leaving in 20 minutes. More stress. I'm dragging all this stuff around. I'm tired. This is horrible. Let it go. Let go of everybody else's stuff that's not yours. Your stuff weighs nothing, literally weighs nothing. And I've watched people go through this process of letting go of other people's stuff and watching their health explode, right? So these past traumas, known or unknown, these are things that that need to be discovered and then let go of, because it's not your stuff. Okay.
And do you want to touch a little bit on, I kind of alluded to it earlier, but that breakthrough that I had in Colombia, like the importance of breath work, because that is actually what brought me finally back into my parasympathetic system. It was soma breath work, I believe it was. Can you talk a little bit about
somatic breath work?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, what is the first sign that you were alive? You took a breath.
Right, yes.
I mean, it's even in the Bible, like God breathed life, right, into everything, right? So the whole point is that your breath is important, and the breath is actually a mechanism that you can use to calm your own nervous system. And we teach people, one of our 4 core secrets, the 4th one, is to do some breath work for only 1 to 2 minutes before you eat food. Now, why would you want to do that? Because everybody's carrying around stress all the time. And if you're stressed out, like the bunny rabbit, the blood has left the organ systems and it's in the extremities to fight or flight, but there's nothing to fight or run from. You're sitting down for dinner, right? So you're going to have a hard time digesting your food when the blood's out somewhere else and you have all these cortisol and adrenaline. It's not a good mix. So just by simply taking a big deep breath in through the nose like this, pause at the top, and then release out through the mouth. Get all that air out. Pause at the bottom with empty lungs. Back in through the nose. Okay, and hold. And release out through the mouth. Again, getting all the air out of the lungs. Pause at the bottom. Just that right there. That's not somatic breath work. That is just some big, deep breaths. But if you do that for just 1 to 2 minutes, you can literally calm down your nervous system. And now you can digest your food better. Less than 1% of the population is doing this. This is why another reason why people have so much gut dysbiosis, because of the stress, and they're eating stressed. Okay. Another thing you can do is you can do this at any time. You can do this when you feel stressed at work. You just go to the bathroom, take a minute. I need a break. Go to your breath. Go to your breath. Go inside. Go internal. All of your solutions are always inside, guys. It's not going to be external stuff. It's always what's going on inside. So this is why Kimberly was able to. She did some deep, heavy-duty breath work. And she really calmed her nervous system down because she was stressed out to the max. And she got back into her flow state of unconditional love. And what was that like when you had, it's like a breakthrough, but it's always there for you. It was just waiting.
Let me tell you, it was, I broke out, I broke down into tears. I did, but it was like almost a sense of euphoria. It was a very euphoric feeling that I was finally there. And I was overcome with emotion, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was quite something, and I still have that vivid recollection of what that felt like. And I go back to that moment a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was just so profound for me.
Yeah. And that's where you're actually using the memory as a service to yourself in the now, where you go back and you tap back into that vibrational state of when you had that breakthrough, and you can tap into that flow state right now and feel those very same feelings to calm your nervous system today. It would be the opposite of going back and seeing when your mom got killed in a car wreck, and then you went into the scene and held her in your arms when she was dying. As an example, that actually happened to a friend of mine, and she had been carrying that burden around for years, and that was one of the core reasons that she was having ill health today, trying to do all these healthy things, but and I put her in front of a few people, and finally I put her in front of a doc that does some stuff on this, and he's like, trauma of your mom is over 60% of her problem. So until she decides to let go of that baggage and understand that her mom came here and did what she needed to do, she's now gone, right? Is what it is. She's not in that. She's back to source now, but she's gonna have to move on, and we're all gonna die. I'm actually there. There's a song that I'm learning right now. It's like this guy's talking about doing all this stuff, but he's like, you can do all this stuff, but you're still gonna die, and you can do this, but you're still gonna die. Hey, it's okay. It's like it's part of the deal.
You're alive. Exactly.
It's part of the deal. It's like, and some will go young, some will go old, and some will go in between, and some are gonna go in their sleep, and some are gonna have a horrible crash, and some are gonna die of cancer. These are all different experiences. And a lot of them, it's going to play out. Your physical body is going to, your heart will stop beating, and you will take your last breath. That will happen. That just happened to me with my mom. She took her last breath in my arms. I was there. Okay, it's going to happen. But what happens in between now and then, between those bumpers on the bowling lane, is up to you on how you're responding to everything. You're responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for your health. Nobody else. There's no movements that, politicians are going to do that are going to change your health. You're going to have to do it for yourself. and your stress.
That's so profound. And it's so true. And I think that a lot of people do stress over just that alone, that they are going to die one day, when that's just something, that's a reality that we cannot escape. So that there's no sense in spending any time or energy worrying about that.
Yeah. Why not get excited about it?
Right. I mean,
I've completely turned this stuff around. Whenever it happens, it's going to happen. I'm kind of excited to see what's on the other side. But
exactly.
while I'm here,
I hope it's in a good way. I think we all, if we had the choice, we'd all like to go when we're very, very old. And hopefully we have good quality of life and we're healthy and we can, make it to that old age and we can go in our sleep. Who would want to go any other way? Right.
Yeah.
But we're all going, and I'm going to a place I think that, we all yearn for in some way. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Well, they probably haven't heard this before on a podcast. Excited to die. Actually, do you remember my shirt that I wore in Colombia? It said live and die happy. I
do.
Yeah, it's just like enjoy the ride, get with the flow. Right? Now, I actually have a 3-step formula that but I want to share it because this 3-step formula will literally solve 80% of any issues that you're dealing with. So you ready?
I'm ready. Give it to me.
Okay. So here it is. And this is going to help you definitely get out of the fear and get back into your unconditional love state that you were designed for, and that's all you are. So the 3-step formula is this, and you have to do all 3. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It's kind of like making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and not putting the jelly on. Okay? If you don't do that, you're going to have a peanut butter sandwich. You will not have peanut butter and jelly. Okay, this 3-step formula is this. The first thing is the step 1 is you follow your excitement and your joy. That's it. You follow your excitement and your joy. And I'll break these down later. Part 2, to the best of your ability, with all your skills, all your talents, everything you can possibly do, until you can no longer take any more action on it. And then the last thing, this is the one that most people miss, is with zero insistence on an outcome. Zero. None. Zip. Nada. You cannot be attached to outcome. All right, so let's unpack it. So you follow your excitement or your joy to the best of your ability with zero insistence on an outcome. So when you're following your excitement and your joy, this is what I get I'm really excited about this right now, just talking about it. Because I started using this formula in 2018, and I got really good at it, and I'm still working on getting better and better and better. But if you do this formula, if you choose to do this, you will see it. It'll prove itself to you, literally. Like, it's not me. You're going to learn how to tap into the synchronicities of life, that synchronistic tapestry I was talking about earlier. When you're following your excitement or your joy, think about that. Where is that coming from? What excites you? Right? And first off, it doesn't have to be some big career thing. Again, it's always, a lot of times, especially modern people today are like, it's always around making money. Okay. And for some reason, it's always got to be this money thing. Okay. That's not the case. This could be simply as you could be excited about going for a walk. You could be excited about calling a friend, spending time with a loved one. Maybe it is starting a new career or something. Whatever that is to you, whatever excites you at the moment that you have the best ability to take action on it and do the best you can with all your abilities and all your talents and all your skills until you can no longer take action on it. And then you look around for the next thing that you have the most, and not being attached to an outcome, and then look around for the next thing that gives you the most excitement. I am a firm believer that if God is like up on a mountaintop, looking down, and you're down in the valley, and you're in the trees, you can't really see which way you're going. And God is saying, go right. And that direction is coming from the feeling of excitement flowing through you from God. That's what I believe. And so if you feel excited, that's God saying, go right. Don't go left. He's saying, go right. And it's like, okay, no, I'm going to go left. And you fall in a hole. Okay, let me pick you up, dust you off. Okay, I told you to go right. Go follow your excitement, your joy. No, I'm going to go over this way again, in a hole. This is why we struggle. We're struggling because we're not listening to ourselves and our Creator. So if you follow your excitement, your joy, then that's the map of life. There it is right there. That's the map. And it's like I said, it's proved itself to me so many times. I can't even tell you. Like, it's unbelievable. And you have no idea how it's going to play out. And you might think, but I want to go from here to here. Okay, now you're attached to an outcome, right? You have a goal. Let's say you set a goal. I want to do this. I want to do this. And you have that attachment to that outcome. I want to go over here. But your excitement says go way over that way. But I'm telling you, what happens is if you don't do it, and you try to get to that goal no matter what, it's going to be like running through tar, and it's going to wear you out, and you're going to get very tired. Kimberly, you went through this for a few years.
Oh, I did.
You know what I'm talking about. It's like running through tar, and you're just like, I give up, because I have to have this goal, and you have no idea how you're going to get to that goal. That's the thing. Only God knows this stuff. But if you listen to God and go right or left or up or down or whatever direction you were sent by the thread of excitement and joy, that feeling that you feel, then you'll go over that way.
I want you to tell my listeners really quick before we sign off here for the day, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, you can just go to chemicalfreebody.com/out loud. And there's links there to our website and stuff like that, or you can visit us direct at chemicalfreebody.com. And my podcast is Tim James Unleashed. Been doing one every week. We've been releasing an episode every week since the fall of 2019. Just trying to educate people on ways they can get healthy and improve their spiritual path.
I love it. Tim, you'll have to come back because there's never a shortage of great topics that we can cover. So you're welcome back anytime. Thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure, and don't forget the whole formula. It's a kit. It's a self-contained kit. So follow your excitement, follow your joy, do the best you can, and don't be attached to outcomes, and let the chips fall where they may, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised how your life will explode towards you as well.
I agree. Thank you so much, Tim. That is all the time that we have for today, friends. But remember, we are here on the air 5 days a week, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern with a different nurse host daily. You can also catch the encore at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be sure to tune in and listen to myself and these courageous nurses. As we walk you through all of these hot topics, we will empower you with information and education. We will advocate and we will stand in the gap for you because we are nurses and this is what we do. I'm your host, Nurse Kimberly Overton, and you can find me here every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Until next time, be safe, be well, and God bless. Remember, we are in a war for truth. We're putting out a bounty on the real misinformation and exposing the purveyors of propaganda. No topic is off limits as we shine our light and expose the darkness.